In the autumn of 1066, England stood on the edge of history. An old king was dead, a kingdom was divided, and across the sea, 3 men believed the same crown belonged to them. Within months, thousands would die, an entire kingdom would fall, and England would never be the same again. For more than 20 years, England had known peace under one ruler, Edward the Confessor. He was respected, deeply religious, and determined to keep his kingdom united. But there was one problem. Edward had no children, no clear heir, no one to inherit the throne. When he died on January 5, 1066, England suddenly faced a dangerous question. Who would become the next king? The answer would decide the fate of an entire nation. With the throne now empty, England could not wait. The kingdom needed a king. The English nobles chose Harold Godwinson, the most powerful nobleman in England, an experienced warrior, a respected commander, and on January 6, 1066, just one day after Edward's death, Harold Godwinson was crowned King of England. But across the English Channel, William the Conqueror was furious. He believed Edward had promised him the English crown, and now someone else was wearing it. Harold Godwinson had won the English crown. But he wasn't the only claimant. Across the North Sea, another king was preparing for war. Harald Hardrada, the legendary king of Norway, a battle-hardened Viking warrior whose reputation stretched across Europe. He believed he had a rightful claim to England, and he wasn't coming alone. Harold Godwinson's own brother, Tostig Godwinson, had joined his invasion. England was no longer facing one enemy. It was about to face 2. In September 1066, Harald Hardrada's invasion finally began. Nearly 300 Viking longships crossed the North Sea. Thousands of battle-hardened warriors landed on England's northeast coast. Village after village fell before them. The English defences were overwhelmed. Soon, the Vikings captured the city of York. News of the invasion reached Harold Godwinson in southern England. He faced an impossible choice: wait for William the Conqueror in the south, or march north to stop Harold Hardrada. He chose to march. Harold Godwinson marched nearly 300 kilometers in just a few days. It was one of the fastest military marches of the Middle Ages. On September 25th, the 2 armies finally met at Stamford Bridge. The Vikings were caught completely by surprise. Many had left their armor behind, confident that no English army could arrive so quickly. Harold Godwinson attacked without hesitation. The battle was fierce. By the end of the day, Harold Hardrada was dead. Tostig Godwinson was dead. Harold Godwinson had saved England, or so he believed. Harold Godwinson had defeated the Viking invasion, but the victory came at a terrible cost. His army was exhausted. Many of his best warriors had been killed. There was little time to celebrate. Just 3 days later, another messenger arrived. William the Conqueror had crossed the English Channel. The Norman army had landed in southern England. Harold Godwinson now faced a second invasion. This time, the fate of England would be decided forever. Harold Godwinson immediately turned his exhausted army south. Another forced march had begun. For nearly 2 weeks, the English army raced toward the Norman invasion. Finally, on October 14th, 1066, the 2 armies met near the town of Hastings. Harold Godwinson formed a massive shield wall across the top of Senlac Hill. It was one of the strongest defensive positions in medieval warfare. Below them, William the Conqueror prepared to attack. William the Conqueror gave the order. The Norman archers fired first. Thousands of arrows filled the sky, but the English shield wall held firm. The Norman infantry attacked. Then the cavalry charged, again and again. The shield wall refused to break. For hours, neither side gave way. Then William the Conqueror changed his strategy. His cavalry began pretending to retreat. Some English soldiers broke formation and chased them downhill. It was exactly what William wanted. The Norman cavalry suddenly turned around. They cut down the isolated English warriors. Again. The same trick worked. The great English shield wall slowly began to break apart. For the first time that day, William saw victory within reach. Then came the moment that changed history. In the chaos of battle, Harold Godwinson fell. The English line finally collapsed. Panic spread across the battlefield. The Norman army surged forward. By sunset, the Battle of Hastings was over. William the Conqueror had won. England belonged to the Normans. The Norman Conquest had begun. The Battle of Hastings was over, but William's conquest had only just begun. Across England, many towns still refused to surrender. William answered with overwhelming force. Castle after castle rose across the kingdom. The old Anglo-Saxon nobility disappeared. A new Norman ruling class took its place. England would never again be ruled by an Anglo-Saxon king. The Norman conquest changed far more than a king. It reshaped an entire nation. French became the language of the ruling class. Stone castles rose across the land. A new system of government took root. Only around 7,000 Normans crossed the English Channel, yet they changed the course of English history for nearly 1,000 years.